What's up everyone? Welcome to part 2 of our pose estimation tutorial series, and in this one we're going to look at 3D pose estimation. So the GitHub repo that we're using actually has the capability to do 3D pose estimation. So what it does is take a 2D image and it estimates where those key points are in three-dimensional space. So what you see here is my webcam pointed at me, and the stick figure you see actually is me. So, and we're running the 3D pose estimation on it. So just to give you an example, I can raise one arm, I can raise the other arm, bring them up way up over my head, I can crouch down, move my arms up again, come back up, and I can even dab. Not the best dab, but not too bad either. So in this series, we're gonna look at how to set this code up and get it running. It's probably gonna be 2, maybe even 3 videos because there's a lot to cover, but let's get started. So to begin with this 3D pose estimation, I want to start with a simple example and just take a 2D image and process it to get the 3D pose estimation from it. So what you see here is the run.py file, and this is the one we use for processing single images. So if I scroll down a bit, you'll see this part where it says import sys and sys.exit 0. So when the code gets to this point, it's going to stop Python and it's not going to proceed any further. But actually all the 3D pose stuff is in the codes below, or the lines below. So all I'm going to do is just comment these lines out. I'm gonna hit save, and then I'm gonna pull up a command window. And remember, the command to run a simple image is just gonna be Python, and then we specify the file. So it's in the source folder. And just to point out, I'm in the tf-openpose, the main directory of our repo. So the file we're gonna run is the run.py. And we actually don't need to specify the model because the default model is the correct one. So all we need to do is specify the image. So I downloaded this one just online. I called it yoga 2. So this is just some lady doing a yoga pose. So we'll run this, we'll get the 2D image first, and then after that we'll see all the 3D pose estimation stuff. So this is the one we're familiar seeing, the 2D image with the stick figure placed on top of it. So if we just hit any key, it'll proceed to the next plots. So you can see we get a 3D pose estimation plot, and then we get this analysis plot. So we've got these heat maps with vector Y, vector X, and this one's showing the key points, and then here's the results, same as the one before here. And then we get this 3D pose estimation. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. So you can see this is that stick figure, but it's estimating and plotting it in 3-dimensional space. And it's actually doing a pretty good job. I mean, the original image is just the lady standing up straight, and that's basically what we're getting here. So now what I want to do is take this and make it real time. So I want to plot this in 3D in real time and use images from my webcam. So now let's look at how we can set up a program to do that. So for those of you who've been following this channel, you may remember the audio spectrum analyzer series, and in the later videos we switched over to pyqtgraph and openGL for all our 3D plotting. And for this series I want to do the same thing. I want to use pyqtgraph and openGL, mainly because I think it looks a lot better than Matplotlib's 3D plots, and it's more optimized for speed. So in that audio spectrum analyzer series, we'd made this flying mesh terrain thing, and what I want to do is take that same code and then take the 3D pose estimation, and I want to hack them apart and mesh them together to make something that's plotting our 3D pose estimation in real time. So you saw this in the beginning of the video. That's what we're going for. So let's start by showing you how, or showing you which packages we need to install in order to run pyqtgraph, openGL, and all that stuff. So the first package we're going to install is pyqtgraph. And for those of you who watched the audio spectrum analyzer series, you probably know why we're choosing this one. And for those of you who haven't, we're choosing it because it looks nicer and it's a lot faster than Matplotlib. So the way we're going to install it is we're going to clone the repo, and within the repo there's a setup file. So all we need to do is run python setup.py install, and this will install the packages. And just real quick, you'll see that the requirements are we're going to need pyqt. So we're going to install pyqt5 also, and we've already got numpy and obviously Python. And then next we're going to install the pyopengl libraries. So let's begin by cloning the repo. So I'm just going to come up to the top, click right here to copy the link to clone. Then I'm just going to open up a new CMD window, and to use git, we're just going to do git clone and then paste that URL. So that will download the folder. So I've already done that, so I'm not going to run this again, but then we can just cd into the pyqtgraph folder, and then if I call dir, you can see that there's the setup.py file here. So again, you're just going to run python setup.py and then install. So run this, it's going to install all the packages for you. Next thing you're going to need to do is install pyqtgraph. So that's just, or excuse me, install pyqt. So that's just as simple as doing pip install pyqt5. So run that, and then you'll have pyqt5 installed. Now the last package we need to install is pyopengl, and the command for that is just going to be conda install -c anaconda pyopengl. So just run that, and then you'll have pyopengl. So once we've done that, we'll have all three of our packages installed. Now we're ready to jump into the code. So to begin, I want to show you what the output looks like for those 3D pose estimation points. So what I've got here is that same run.py file open, and now I'm going to run it and just add some print statements so we can see where those 3D points are coming from and get an idea of what we need to do to take those points and plot them in pyqtgraph. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import OS, because since this folder, or since the run.py is in the source folder, I really need to be in the upper level directory when I run it. So I'm just going to do os.changedir, and I'm just going to move up one directory. So to do that, it's just ... So we're going to move up one directory. I've already changed the default image to that yoga 2, and yeah, we've already commented out this. So now I'm just going to add some print statements. So basically the pose 3D, this is the list of all the points that are used for the 3D plotting. So all I'm going to do is print that. So I'm just going to run it with this print pose 3D showing. So let's go ahead and run that with our environment. So we get our person, so I'm just going to hit any key to continue. And here's our point. So I'm just going to scroll up. So you can see here we're getting 3 separate lists. So each list has 17 points, and the first list is all the x coordinates, second list is all the y coordinates, third list is the z coordinates. So if I come back to the images, let's just go to this one. If you were to count up all these dots, you'll find that there's 17 of them. So these here are all the coordinates for those 17 points. So that's going to be what we need to do. We need to take those and we need to plot them in pyqtgraph. So the one difference between matplotlib and pyqtgraph is, well, with matplotlib, the format that we showed before, that's what matplotlib wants. It wants a list of x, list of y's, list of z's. pyqtgraph is different. What it wants is each position is a list. So one list will be x1, y1, z1. The next list is x2, y2, z2, and so on. So basically the transformation we need to do is take our list, our pose 3D list of all those points, and then we just need to transpose it. That's all. So we're going to make it a numpy array. We're just going to strip off the outer list and we're going to transpose it. So now if I were to run this, let's just go ahead and run this just so you can see the difference. Just hit any key to proceed. All right, so So here you can see the difference. Here we get 3 lists of 17 points, and here we get 17 lists, and each list has 3 points in it. So that's the difference between matplotlib and pyqtgraph. So now that we've seen what the output looks like, now what I want to do is create a nice base code for us to start with. And the base code I'm going to use is that terrainaudio.py from the Audio Spectrum Analyzer series. So remember, that was a class using pyqtgraph, and it was taking audio from a microphone, creating this mesh thing, and then it was just updating that on the fly. So that's the base we want. We want something that's just plotting something in real time and updating it continuously. So instead of updating from audio from our microphone, we're going to be using those points that were being generated from the 3D pose estimation. So what I've done is just taken this terrain audio code and I've copied it into a new Python file, and I've just edited it slightly to remove all the audio stuff and the Perlin noise stuff, just so we have a nice base code to start with. So just to show you what it looks like, jump back over to Atom, and I created this file called webcam3d.py. So this is that same code, just like I said, removed all the audio stuff and the noise stuff from it. And if I were to run it, just to show you what it looks like, we've got that same mesh surface, but now the height is varying with just random numbers. So it's just this like jagged random thing updating really fast. So now the idea is, instead of updating this random noise mesh, we're going to update those points that we get from our 3D pose estimation. So since we've already gone pretty long, I'm going to stop the video here. And in the next one, we're going to start digging into the code more. We're going to take all that 3D pose estimation stuff and combine it with this base OpenGL pyqtgraph code. So stay tuned for the next one. If you like the video, give it a like. If you've got any questions, leave a comment below. Also, you can use the Facebook group to chat with me. And yeah, if you guys like the content you're seeing, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.